Ready?
Ready. Ready.
Welcome all. For February 13th. Need a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which were on January 23rd.
I make a motion
from?
to approve the minutes from the meeting on February 23rd.
I second it.
In favor? Anyone here from Berkshire Gas? David Adler. Sir,
Yes, hello. I'm not from Berkshire Gas.
well, we know that, but that's what you probably hear about.
I am, as a matter of fact. Is anybody from Berkshire Gas at the meeting tonight?
Not that we're aware of.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So either David Adler, 7 Lee Road in Stockbridge, either Stephanie, my wife, and I've been to numerous meetings. I'm guessing probably 4 or 5 by now. And I know that a Berkshire Gas representative showed up, I believe, at the first one, but not since then. I will continue to come to these meetings, either in person or virtually, or my wife. But what I'm wondering is, if they continue to not show up, it just seems like I'm just wondering what the next steps are, or if you're going to be doing a site visit, or where we're going, I guess.
The hope is to set up a site visit. We've had some discussions with Michael Canales about how we should do that and whom we should talk to. And my understanding is that Berkshire Gas is the owner of the property. And from our perspective, they're the ones that we need to be speaking to.
So can we, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I would agree. No, I was going to say I would agree wholeheartedly. Just a small request I would make, as far as the site visit is concerned. I'm sure that you'll let the abutters know. I know that Peter Naventi, who lives over in Lee, I don't think he's a direct abutter, but he's had a lot of water issues that might have stemmed from this property. And so I would just make a request that he might be included in any list of abutters as well. That's all.
And can we send them a certified letter requesting this? Okay.
I'm not exactly sure who to send it to. I guess the headquarters in Pittsfield.
David, do you have a address, correspondence,
Or contact.
email?
I'm
From
pretty
Berkshire.
sure that I should be able to do that. Provide that with you. I will attempt to find that on some of the other documents as well.
Okay.
I know that the ZBA did a site visit as well. So I'm sure that they have an address and the address that I give you might not be accurate, but I know that they gained access to the property. So I might just suggest to your committee that might be a better way to locate the correct address.
Okay. Because I think that their concerns and ours may be different, because ours goes more with the property itself, and theirs would be more with the running of the operation. So it might not be the same.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let me see what I can provide, and I have your email address already, of course, and I'll provide any of the addresses that I might have.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Anybody from Mass DOT here?
Likely.
No. Westdale Conservation Restriction.
Rich, I heard from Rich, they're not going to be here tonight. They had the Laurel Hill Land Trust did not meet, so they didn't have any updates.
Another one continued. Okay. Mr. Heckler, Stone
Hecker.
Court.
Hecker, no L, no L.
Even with my glasses, I got it wrong.
It's a very common response.
Pardon me for that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Stone Court Condominium Trust, going to rehabilitate the carriage house. Talk to us.
Okay. That's the potential goal that we're pursuing. This is a a secondary structure, an auxiliary structure on the site that's been used for storage for many years. It has a roof that protects it, but there's a lot of deterioration. I've reviewed it as an architect. I brought a structural engineer. I'm also an owner of a condominium at 41 Stone Court. And so I investigated in terms of what the potential issues and costs would be in trying to renovate it as unit number 10. That's what we call it when we refer to it within the condominium association. So it's gone through a series of attempts to try and sell it. And my suggestion was, since I've invested a lot of time in trying to analyze it, is to try and do the due diligence with the town in terms of starting with you as step one, do our due diligence, and in effect act as a potential developer of the property to see if we could do what any potential owner would have to do, to go through the town, to get approval from the Conservation Commission, to get approval from the Historical Commission, to get a special permit, to get a building permit, to go through all the requirements that would be required. And with the goal of trying to renovate the structure as condominium unit number 10. This is a freestanding building. It has no utility services other than a single electrical line to provide a single light switch and light in the building, but there's no water, there's no sewer, there's no gas, there's no electricity. The roof framing, I won't say is near collapse, but it has a hog back roof structure. The walls are spreading. The site slope, water drains from the top of the turnaround down through the building into the wetlands. So the building sills, which are about 8 by 8 approximately, they rest on a stone rubble foundation. The soil is right at the top level of the sills. The sills are all rotted out on the south side. So as part of my research, when I was investigating it, I was proposing internally to myself in terms of how I would treat the soil drainage or the site drainage would be to put a swale in front of the building. It would have to be excavated down probably at least 3 feet or so to get the soil below the sill. But you do that, then you make a very steep slope into the building. So there'd probably have to be some kind of a rainwater swale to collect water. That have an advantage of holding the site water that would otherwise drain right into the wetlands. The wetland 100-foot setback line, which you can see on the drawing that I enclosed, pretty much goes right through the middle of the building. So the primary focus of my talking to you tonight is to get someone from the Conservation Commission to go out and stake out where that buffer line actually is, where the edge of the wetlands are, and to get some feedback from you, because you are step number 1, to see if renovating that building, which would involve site work, it would involve soil removal next to the building, the creation of a swale on the south side. If you are going to allow construction within that 100-foot setback, because it goes right through the building east-west. So that's kind of in a nutshell of what we're trying to do. I'm acting as the agent for the condominium trust, and that's why I'm here. I have a fair amount of drawings that I've done to investigate how the site and the building could be developed to support unit number 10. And so you're my first stop.
There are a couple of things that you need to consider. Number one, we don't do the measuring. That's up to you. So you would have to get a wetlands person to come in and do the assessment of where the wetlands are and where it falls in your building. We would review it, but we would not do it. So that's an expense up front.
Can you recommend local people who do that? Maybe 2 or 3 that we could choose from? Or do you,
Uh,
are you not in the business of making recommendations?
We really are not in the business of making recommendations, but there are several in the area that would be perfectly capable of doing that.
Maybe I shouldn't call it recommendations. If you could just give me if you could provide a list of people who could provide that service, then.
I can send you a list. Do I have your
Perfect.
email? Do I have your email?
I think you should have it because I think I
Okay.
sent all the documents via email.
I think you did also. I'll send you a list of people who come before us most often and
Okay.
in no particular order.
Excellent.
This sounds like it's a major restoration effort. If the sills are gone, the roofs are gone, and the roof is gone and the walls are put,
Falling in.
where do you start?
Yeah,
Ground up.
well, yes, and that's the realization that I made when I did my own due diligence. On the other hand, and I think the condominium trust, the Stone Court Condominium Trust, feels that it's a great location. It's a superb location to be right in the village, and that's why I chose to live there as well. I think what we're trying to do is make it more attractive to a potential buyer to do a lot of the legwork and get the approval of the Conservation Commission, get the approval of the Historical Commission, get as much of that legwork done so we can say to a potential buyer, we have the permits, we have the conditions that you're going to have to adhere to with conservation or historical, potentially have discussions with the building inspector to find out what they're going to allow or not allow in terms of the stretch energy code, for example. I've had conversations with the site utility people in terms of what's involved in that. It's at a lower elevation than the middle part of the site, so you need a sewage ejector. It's a considerable, it might be $400,000 or $500,000.
We can do the lay of the land type thing, okay? As for the building itself, construction, permits from historical, that's not our bailiwick. We'll see. You show us where the wetlands are, where the buildings are, where the building lies within that framework. And then, of course, if you're gonna do any exterior outside of the footprint of the building, we'll need to know that as well. Do you need to put in stairs or decks or entryways? And so,
Right, and I did include one drawing from the Sanborn fire insurance maps that showed a small structure that had been added sometime after 1911. That potentially for the right owner, it is a historical basis for maybe adding a porch, let's say, or a deck on the north side of the building facing the wetlands. But what I could probably provide you after I get the wetlands specialist to come in and locate everything is to show where the construction limits would be on the site, where the swale might be located along the south side of the building, how many feet out from the building we'd be excavating or would need for excavation, just to show you how close we'd be getting to the wetlands.
yeah.
You have an engineer?
No.
No, okay, because most of the engineering firms have a wetlands person who could advise you on that.
Right, but we're trying to do the research. We're trying not to hire an architectural and engineering team to put something together. We're trying to assemble the basic permits or conditions that this town would impose on a potential buyer in order to entice a potential owner to purchase the property.
We would have to have a wetlands delineation done by a professional in
Yes,
order. Yeah.
yes.
And
So
the
that
other
would-
thing, that we need from you is we need a letter from the condominium trust that authorizes you to be making these requests of us.
Yes, we have that. I can
Okay, if
provide
you
you with a
could
copy of that.
Forward that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Sally, I was wondering, how did you get to know where that line was, the 100-foot line? What did you measure from?
I don't know if you can see this, but it's a state document. If I hold it up, well, I sent it to everyone, so you should have it in front of yourself. It says at the bottom, it's the Mass GIS, ESRI, Canada, ESRI, here, Garmin, Increment P, USGS, EPA, USDA, Mass DEP, and it's the DEP wetlands. So it took me a while to find that, but that's what you have in front of you. It's a portion of that drawing.
Take a look at Lisa.
So, hi Doug, hi Don.
Hi, Tucker.
Hi. So, basically, before your meeting, I'm refusing from the Conservation Commission where I live. I did consult with the State Ethics Commission lawyer because I'm also a trustee on this property. So I'm also recusing as a trustee. Can't speak as a trustee, but I can speak as a homeowner. And I'm not, I think John and Doug know, I'm not opposed to this process of the potential development, but I would like to see it done with the utmost protection of the wetland. And along those lines, John, as a homeowner, I also contacted Mark Stimson, and he was really clear that that map cannot be used as a designation, as a delineation. He said those are based on 30, 40-year-old data.
This is just an approximation.
Yeah, it's just an
It's
approximation.
an approximation, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear the commission will request it and a site visit.
It's the one document that I could find that gave me a rough idea of where the wooded marsh wetlands were north of the carriage house. That's why I used that. It's the best thing I could find.
Good place to start.
It's a good start.
We have no problem with a site visit, but I think we need the starting point to be confirmed. If this is just an approximation, we would need a more formal, definitive line to start from. And
Sure.
you don't quite have it there yet.
No, that makes perfect sense.
When you do, we'll schedule a site visit, come out, walk around, take a look at it and whatever. You just need to put a couple flags in the ground. And
Okay.
you can come out and form an opinion.
And
So it's disturbed.
it's Laurel Hill property,
It's not used.
so you need to check with Laurel Hill.
Probably.
Maybe they're, you know,
Lisa, your voice is really reverberant. Can you have someone else repeat what you're saying? Because I'm getting a lot of reverberation.
it's Laurel Hill property.
All right, the property belongs to Laurel Hill. The back of it,
Yes, I'm aware of that.
so you may need some permission to walk around back there.
Yeah.
They're probably fine with it, you're just gonna come and go, but
Well, I think the property line is it's maybe about looks like it's maybe 75 feet or so to the property line. It's about 75 feet of space between the north wall of the carriage house and where the property line is between the wetlands of the Laurel Hill property. So then it sounds like my next step is to get the condominium association to hire a wetlands site engineer to go out and flag the perimeter.
yes,
Okay,
that would be the starting point. And then
okay,
we're gonna have to make a couple site visits, because if you decide foundation work and stuff like that, and sounds like you're gonna be within our jurisdiction for the whole project. So we're gonna need some sort of drawings on how you're gonna accomplish this fact without getting into the wetlands and swampy areas and whatnot. So there's gonna be a couple, you're gonna come see us a couple times, let's put it like that.
Yeah. No, I expected that. I think most of the work on the building is gonna be on the south side. But if there is a deck or a porch added on the north side, then that would start start to get closer to the wetlands, and then it would definitely make sense to be in touch with you.
We're not usually in favor of getting closer to a wetland.
And that makes perfect sense. No, totally understand it. That's why I included that historical Sanborn fire insurance map, just to show that it did exist at one time. But I figured that would be worth having a discussion, just in case a potential owner would ask about, can I add a porch? Can I add a deck? And then I'd go to you to have that discussion.
It's not there at the moment, the porch or deck?
No, it's not there. There's a door.
And how long has it been gone?
Oh, it's hard to know. I don't know. I have no idea.
Then I think it has no standing.
Okay. All right. There's a door that's been filled in on the north side that used to go into that addition.
Yeah, I think I've forgotten now. I think it's 3 years. If it's not there, it's considered abandoned and therefore not part of the
Okay.
construction.
Yeah, it's been gone. It may have been gone for 20 years. I don't know, 30 years, at least maybe in the last 10 years.
I mean, the historic people might be interested in that, but I'm not sure we can be.
Okay, well, that's why I thought I would start with you. I would start with you first, because if it's encroaching on the wetlands, then if you say no, then that's good to know. It's not even worth bringing up with the historical commission.
We don't necessarily say no, depending on the distance, but it would probably depend on how you would construct it and whether we have sometimes allowed a deed restriction that says that you won't build up. If you did that, like it's going to always be a porch and it's never going to be anything but a porch. I mean, that's a possibility. It's not a guarantee.
Okay, if a porch were added, it would probably be lifted up and held up by two sonotube, say like concrete piles that would be, say, 8 or 10 inches in diameter at the outside corners. That would be the only impact of going into the ground. It wouldn't have a foundation as such. It would just have 2 sonotubes and a ledger probably along the north side of the building. So really minimal impact, wouldn't reduce the flow or movement of water.
Are there 2 means of egress in this building now?
Yes. There's a big sliding door for the garage entry, and then there's a separate door on the other side where the horses used to be stabled. And then there used to be a door out the back that went into that addition. But currently it's just 2. But in terms of a legal means of egress, there's really just one legal means of egress, because the sliding door really wouldn't qualify as an egress.
Mhm. So that'll be in the consideration too, further along, not right now.
Exactly.
Lisa?
I'm thinking conceptually that it's sort of moving in a linear fashion. You're the first stop. Get feedback from you, get the wetlands delineated, come back to you, get your advice. And then if things move forward, then I go probably to the historical commission.
Does this building have a cellar or a crawl space or?
It has a crawl space. Yes, it's approximately 4 feet. I would say 3.5, 4 feet. I had to crouch and kind of duck walk to get in there.
Is it a stone foundation?
It's a stone rubble foundation, correct? Yes. On 3 sides. On the side facing the wetlands is actually a wood framed wall.
Great.
So to do this restoration, you're gonna have to start below grade to support this building.
I think the stone foundation walls are just fine. That they need to be cut and repointed. They're rather substantial, and the framing for the floor, because it supported cars and other wheeled vehicles. It's heavy timber framing, so the floor framing is pretty substantial, and it has intermediate piers that support the framing, but the sills that go around 3 sides, those the sill along the south side is almost completely gone. It's probably halfway gone on the east and west sides. So the structure for the floor is generally pretty good. It needs a little help here and there, but generally pretty good. The sills, major replacement. Cutting and pointing on the stone foundation, lowering the grade so the sills sit by code. The bottom of the sill should be at least 8 inches above the soil. Right now, the soil's at the top of the sill.
So things like the excavation, those concern us, especially.
Absolutely.
So as
No,
as you look at this building, we're gonna have to come in and look and see, and you're gonna have to tell us how this is gonna happen, how we're gonna go about this, equipment wise, excavation wise, soil removal, all that sort of thing is gonna be in the mix when you want to give it, when you decide what you're gonna do there, so.
yes,
Those questions will be asked.
makes perfect sense. I totally understand that. Yes.
As a homeowner.
Yes,
I would
homeowner.
suggest a site visit, just so you can see it even before the delineation, because it will give you a better sense of the wetland and what the site really looks like.
There's no snow on the ground. That could
Yeah.
change real quick.
Rich, we were supposed to have a snowstorm.
It was meant to.
Century last night.
Yes,
Today.
I'm good anytime, just about. Does anybody have a preference for when we can go up and look at it? It won't take very long.
I'll join as a homeowner.
Okay. Thursdays usually seem to be pretty good.
Except we can't advertise by then.
Next
Friday.
week,
Friday?
all right, this Friday? 10 o'clock?
I would recommend when you go out to take a strong flashlight or two, and when you go around the back of the building to open the door to the crawl space, just poke your head in and shine your light around, and you can see the piers and the framing, and you can see it. Actually, the stone walls are quite beautifully done. They're really, it's a beautiful rubble stone foundation wall. But then I would say go around the front, take a look at where the grade is at the front. Notice how the grade slopes from where the driveway turnaround is, and think of the oil, gasoline, other things that migrate down from that area and go through the building. And I think having a rainwater kind of collection swale it could be like a rainwater garden in front of the building to capture a lot of that water, and that would allow the excavation to go down and expose a little bit of the stone foundation, protect the sills, but it would require making a swale in front of the building. But I would think that would be a bonus from a Wetlands and Conservation Commission standpoint to interrupt the water that's coming off the asphalt driveway and going into the wetlands, going through the building.
Can I
So
just,
time?
can I just, if you're coming there this Thursday, if we could do it at noon or later, then I'm sorry. Friday.
Actually, it's probably gonna be Friday around 3 o'clock, sir.
Yeah, that's what, oh, you're gonna do it Friday at 3?
That seems to be doable. Yes,
That work for you, Lisa?
Friday at 3,
Very good.
This-
Afternoon.
this coming Friday.
Thank you.
We're owners of Stone Court as well, so we'd be interested to be there.
All right. We will be there this Friday. 3 p.m. This is not mine.
16.
All right. Someone will be there with enough.
Yeah, if there's a lot of people coming, I'd say, parking would be an issue. So maybe park on the street
Or here.
or here, walk over. There's usually street parking right in front, but there's limited parking in the driveway, so.
Okay, we'll see some of you there Friday.
Make sure you take my drawings that I presented, just so you have some graphic representation to write your notes on, or to indicate, whatever you see. Or I would just suggest taking my drawings to have something to write on and to refer to.
They're here someplace.
Back in the file.
Okay.
We'll bring something.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll say good night.
Good night.
Night.
Okay,
Good night.
All right, now we have one to sign, two to
Two
sign.
to sign.
For
And-
Lakeview Drive.
Yeah. Sally
Well,
Leibwall is here. We are not hearing this, it's not on the agenda until the next meeting. But if you wanted to give us a preview, you could do that.
Oh, sure. I actually wasn't intending to. I just was
Okay.
listening so that I get a sense of how your meetings go. But if you,
Okay.
you know,
No,
I,
You don't need to do it.
okay,
We can hear it next week or next meeting, which will be the 28th.
okay. Do you prefer if we're there in person or,
27th. It's easier.
okay,
more so if you have something to show us, that works a lot better than the Zoom. But-
okay.
We're here.
All right. Thank
and
you.
Hopefully we're out of here early. Okay, we need to sign.
Yep.
Any other business any questions?
Question. So Lisa, this unit 10 carriage house, it's like common area that the idea is to take it and where somebody can turn it into an additional condo. Is that what's happening?
It's not used at all right now.
Okay.
Thought he said it was a storage shed at the moment, but other than that, not
No,
used.
It's not in.
Is this yours?
We did hear from David, who went and took a look at 13 Rattlesnake and said that they are in compliance with the plans. However, we believe that they may have exceeded the 10,000 square feet. So I sent them a thing saying, you need to talk about that. They may need to file a stormwater permit for that. We had the possibility that Mr. Shook was going to be here tonight about 11 Wheatley. But apparently he is not. What else did we hear
And we
about?
corresponded with them.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
Correspondence.
I could not find a contact for White Pines. I looked everywhere that I could find. I tried with the assessor's office, so I have not contacted them about the fencing. But I need to find somebody who can tell us to contact. There's nothing that I could find in any of the documentation about White Pines that they have a main office or something that you could send stuff to. There must be somebody or something that they can.
I know where it is. I'll stop up.
And Laura Beasley may know.
That's a good idea. We got a letter or an email from the railroad. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, the most recent one,
Yeah.
what did I do with it?
No, or B? No.
It was 4 months ago when we sent them,
Mhm.
I think it was a registered letter,
Yes, we did.
and they got back.
Well, they got back. Then I replied to them because I was very annoyed by their response, which said that we had never brought up anything about the railroad ties or anything else, which was a bold-faced lie on their part,
Wow.
which I
I
told
don't
them.
have it.
I also took John Hart's name in vain, saying that he had on the rails and had seen the railroad ties, and we had certainly mentioned them in several meetings.
Chuck had pictures.
And
got
Chuck had
pictures.
pictures, but this is prior to Chuck's ride on the rails. This was John. This is, years and years and years that I have served on this Conservation Commission, as have Joe, as have Ron. We have all talked about the railroad ties, and we have all talked about the wetland resource that you can spray within 10 feet of, which are not.
Those ties practically has a name.
Yeah, pretty much. We can call them by name. But he was of the opinion that we had never mentioned this ever in all of the years that we've been reviewing the yearly operating plan for the railroad, which was a complete and utter untruth on their part. Just saying, for the record.
Do you have a copy of that?
Not on me, no.
No, I don't either. Anyways, I stopped and saw Michael Canales and gave him a copy of it. And he read it and smiled. Basically, I wouldn't say they threatened us, but they gave us you can't do that type thing. And he said, well, maybe we should, that they're threatened legal if we go trespass and stuff like that. And he says,
Oh, that's what they were saying? We can't go take another look-see?
no. Not unless we hire a flagman for quite a bit of money per hour and it comes in 8-hour increments. So, but
We already have pictures that
Yeah.
Chuck took. We have testimony from John.
I've got more pictures I haven't shared yet.
And, it's not like we have to go look again.
See a lot more next time.
Mr. Rodriguez, the lawyer,
Yes.
did say he would contact the state agency again, whoever was in charge of this. He had not heard back, I think it was.
Because the right of way belongs to the Commonwealth. And who's?
Mass DOT now, apparently. That has changed within the last few years.
New pictures?
Well, that's the same as the Commonwealth.
We'll probably,
Chuck took pictures when he rode with them.
This would be a good time for pictures too, for the
There's
vegetation.
always a drone. It's a public right of way. I don't know, can
They
they?
can fly down over the river and take pictures.
Exactly.
Anybody can.
Yeah.
A kid can take a drone and do it. Who's going to stop you?
how much, does the rail
Right.
own
I don't know,
on both sides of the tracks?
I don't know either.
but it doesn't extend to the water line of Housatonic River where some of the ties are from.
On your lot lines.
No, and one could conceivably, maybe not this time of year, but one could conceivably get into a kayak on the river and take a drone. And there would be
Take a
no
camera, you mean?
camera, drone, whatever.
But that's
Flynn Trail.
that's kind of the bullying tactic. The real question is, what do they want to do moving forward? Once we,
Nothing.
Well, they already stalled for 4 months,
Well, they've already stalled for 20 years.
but they had to respond to this one because we sent them a registered letter.
Hmm.
Got proof that we gave notification that we'd like something done, some answers, some remediation of the mess. But then again, they said that wasn't our mess, it was there before we.
yeah, they said they only cleaned up recently, but the stuff previous to that, they're trying to ignore.
So we're at stage
Plan.
now, we'll wait to hear back from whoever. But it's in the forefront, been discussed. We're waiting for more responses,
On our end?
from them.
And don't they have to come back to us this spring to?
Yes, they have to,
Yes.
they have to have a yearly operating plan.
And can't we ask to ride the rails
Yeah,
when they do that with a
Yeah.
camera?
with a camera, again.
Two cameras.
Pre-vegetation.
They need to come back.
Yeah, pre-op.
And stuff's been there for God knows how long. If we keep being a fly in the ointment, they'll have to do something to quiet us down.
I think we should go with Eagle.
Well. I'm not going.
Hopefully it will,
Easy.
hopefully it will appear in the Stockbridge updates, in the notes on the goings on with the Housatonic Railroad. Carol.
Okay, moving on. And I'll get that and we'll send it around so everybody can see the
That'd be
response.
great.
Signed. Jurisdictionals, nothing. Date for the Forestry Commission meeting?
There
It's
when-
always the first Monday of the month at 6:30. Working on composting?
No,
Not
Composting,
composting,
how? Where at
Composting
the,
at
at
the
the
recycling-
transfer station?
transfer station. Slowly we're working on it.
Excellent.
And we're likely to start the farmer's market for 6 weeks this summer, right back here,
what
kind of
day,
as a
what day, of the-
trial.
what day of the
I
week do you
think it will
think?
be Wednesday afternoon.
The, we had an application before CPA from Pine Woods. Pine Woods is looking to create a community garden as well as a compost area there.
Great.
So that would be nice. Or was it Pine Woods or, no, it was Heaton Court. It's Heaton Court wants to do that. So that would be awesome. I think it would be nice for Heaton Court to have people go up and help with the gardens and
Yeah.
some of the folks up there aren't so ambulatory.
That's great.
They have a greenhouse so they can start plants for their, I guess a couple of they have raised beds and a couple of the raised beds are not in very good shape and they want to fix that. But I think having a compost would be nice.
Yeah, wonderful.
The wildlife passage, or have we heard anything on that?
No,
DOT, was that?
You just.
No, that was-
Before, where's that meant to go?
what?
The wildlife passage. I recall you mentioning that.
There are wildlife passage issues around town.
We're talking about two different things. You're talking about the culvert.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's something
She's
that
talking
they'll
about
get to
fencing.
eventually, but things like along Shamrock Street, there is that chain link fence,
Mhm.
which is a barrier to wildlife. There's the one that's along the Housatonic out here, which Hugh, as I understand, is going to take out at some point, which is a barrier to wildlife.
Because that's ours being the.
None of these things
Yeah,
have
town property.
we ever addressed. I mean, this is all kind of new thinking. And then I need to find the contact for White Pines because the fencing that they have along their beach is, and I did look at it because Patrick thought that it was up high enough that it would not be a barrier to wildlife, but it is. It's right down on the ground. And then there's the other one at Mackinac
Terrace.
Jones Beach.
Terrace, is it? Okay,
big
so the
blue
one
house.
that's right next
Big
to
blue
the
house.
causeway, that's, and I get that folks have put these up to protect their property and to keep people from coming on that shouldn't be coming on, but they are barriers to wildlife. And the one by the terrace is just in a sorry state. And many of these chain link fences that have been there for 20 or 30 years are really becoming a hazard.
You mentioned this a few weeks ago, and it's the first time I noticed it, but down by the boat launch, the last 4 or 5 posts next to that new house, they have it up high, 12 inches off.
Right.
And it was tight all the way down. As you get close to the water, they lifted it.
Yeah.
Great, simple idea.
Well, I think we talked about that when she was talking about putting up that fence.
No, I didn't even realize that. It was the first.
Jane Iredale.
Right.
We talked about that when she built the house, that it's just, it's not a huge thing. It's just like you said, about 12 inches so that turtles and things like that can get.
It works for her, and it's just guidance on our part, just
Yeah.
pointing out what needs to be done.
Right, exactly.
I was down there with the fence people when they were putting that in.
Where you?
It's runs level and the land slopes. So if you're looking up top, it looks nice.
Mhm.
You look down the bottom, then I gave it all that clearance down the bottom. There was a pine tree that we had to start from that
Mhm.
ended up being almost a 2-foot drop by the time we got to the waters.
Hmm.
But they were fine
So
with
you
it.
can still protect your property from
Right.
trespassers and things, but you just need to be able to have the wildlife passage.
Right. And for her, it was more of a visual. She didn't want to see people launching boats. I get that.
Well, or, no, well, there's also has been the issue over the years of people trespassing on that property because it was always the sports camp.
Right. It was always a
And Henry Williams, who lives on the other side,
field.
was the resident urinal was his property until they put in the,
Like the real urinals.
until they put in the porta
Out of
potties. Yeah. I mean, he would complain all the time that boaters would go over on his property and
Right.
How far from the resource Sally, or are we talking for this?
I don't know, I guess 50 feet maybe.
A variable number?
Yeah,
Okay.
For what, the fencing?
yeah, if for having it be wildlife passage, just so critters can get through. It doesn't
Like the
even have.
35-foot
Yeah, exactly.
barrier, not barrier, screening,
Buffer.
planting,
Yeah.
as long as it's passable to get underneath it or around it or,
It's.
let's not skip around.
I mean, being able to get around it is fine. But if it's the entire shoreline, then, it's a problem. Bill, you were saying about the dog fence behind your house. I can show you pictures of the very large snapping turtles that come out of our swamp back there and come up on the property that are undaunted by my dog fence, which they went in.
Yeah, some monster snappers in the bowl.
Gertrude, we called one of them.
Oh,
Really?
All right, land acquisition for potential conservation restrictions,
Got nothing at this
nothing.
point.
Hydric soils,
I think we already talked about it.
Yeah, we did.
MAC conference. Has
Coming up,
anybody, checked into that?
yes.
I don't have.
Karen, you said you'd
Yes.
like to go, yeah.
Yes, I asked Ron if I could ride with him.
Sure can.
You?
As we get closer, we'll set a time and date to leave. It starts at early.
And I'm gonna do a couple of the hybrid,
You'll do Zoom ones.
some of the Zoom.
Where was Gertrude?
And just to throw it out, I'm taking Scott Jackson's wetlands course, which is really, really good.
Scott Jackson is
Scott
so
Jackson.
amazing.
If anyone wants the readings,
When you told me about it.
yeah, if anyone wants the readings, I'm happy to,
I'd love to go back to school under him.
well, you can.
Yeah,
You
I know,
can.
Never too
but
late.
not probably likely.
It's really a good class.
And that's on Zoom.
It's on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's already
She
started. It's out
is?
of UMass.
Oh, it's already
It's already
started.
going, but I can send you the readings. You can
Sure.
have the readings. It's
Sure.
really good.
Would you send?
Gertrude,
That's
Oh, wow.
a turtle. They smell bad.
isn't she cute?
Oh, my word.
how big would you guess she is? You can't tell with,
She weighs a bloody ton because I tried to pick her up to move
you
her
picked up a snapping turtle?
with a shovel. And somebody guessed she was about 65 years old, they thought.
Oh, my goodness.
Does she lay eggs still?
Yeah. Yeah, we had the first year we were in the new house, we had 9 of these
Yeah.
little ones coming up. There she is from the side.
Oh, look at her.
Wow.
Pretty.
Yeah.
They're just so prehistoric. They're so awesome
There's
looking.
nothing pretty about it.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
She was just lovely.
They look like they are prehistoric.
Yeah.
They really look.
It was very
Green and
cool.
slimy and
Get me out of here.
Yeah, she's very slimy because it's slimy in the bog there behind us.
Good.
Can I ask you about the bottom agenda item with 13 Rattlesnake Mountain Road? So possible storm.
Yes,
stormwater?
it has been measured and it does indeed exceed the 10,000 square feet, the clearing that they did. And so we sent them a notice saying to Rob, and we sent it to the owner saying that we believe that they need to file a stormwater permit with the town and also most likely possibly a NIPD's because I think it's more than an acre that they've cleared. And the question is, where does the stormwater go when it leaves the property?
we should do the same thing on,
And it's within the
183.
ACEC.
Where we go by every day up on the hill there. They're starting to build the house now.
Oh, yeah, it's a monster house.
It's gonna look like the one on Prospect Hill. when the-
Is this on 183?
Yes,
And it's
Around that
not
corner,
Scenic Mountains.
no,
No,
before you get to,
but it's over 10,000 square
Farm.
feet.
It's huge.
that's Jay's house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, before you get to Tree Farm Road.
Do we have a name?
Right after Quiet Knoll on the left.
Yeah.
Same guy that owns the Prospect Hill one with the bear. He
Oh,
owns the rest.
Jason Najaj? Jason Najaj.
Yeah,
Okay, I can get in touch.
so I understand.
Oh. I just actually was looking at the,
It's not. really
Why, I guess I never understand why the foresters don't know
walking, you know what I mean?
this. I can understand that a landowner may not know, but a forester,
Tail's about 12 inches.
no, they're cutting.
I think they were, I'm not, I might be wrong on this. I think they were permitted
I mean,
We're
it's
going.
feet.
and then they bought this property. He just
Mine.
off
Do you have what for them?
clear cut and there was, because there were trees out there still standing
I live on
up till
the brook,
later surround.
and last year,
property.
The
dogs
same one. We're talking on 180.
and
Okay.
two little baby came up from the brook.
Anything else? Discussion, questions? Make a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Record.